Cheating wife story, betrayed by his wife and best friend. Her car wasn't in the driveway at 2 a.m., but her wedding ring was on the counter glinting like a lie. I didn't mean to find the truth, but her locked phone spilled a cheating wife story that broke me. If this tale of betrayal hits you hard, like, comment, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that unravel the heart. I'm Evan Brooks, 35, owner of a small coffee shop, Hearth and Grind, in a quiet corner of Denver. To the world, I'm the guy steaming lattes, my apron dusted with flour, my smile warm as the morning brew. But there's more to me than espresso shots. A decade ago, I built a fintech app, sold it for 7 figures, and quietly founded Aspen Capital, a venture firm that funds startups. I don't flaunt it. The coffee shop is my haven, a place to stay grounded away from the cutthroat world of finance. Most people don't know my worth, and I prefer it that way. Except my father-in-law Douglas Callahan never let me forget he thought I was nothing. Douglas, a real estate titan with a penthouse ego, saw my coffee shop as a punchline. At every family gathering, he'd sneer Evan still playing barista, his voice loud enough for guests to hear. His wife Lorraine Callahan would pat his arm, murmuring, "Doug, stop." But her eyes held the same pity. My wife Emma Callahan would flash me a strange smile, her hand brushing mine, whispering, "Ignore him, I did for her." Emma, 33, was my everything sharp, radiant, the kind of woman who could charm a room with a single laugh. Her PR firm thrived, her ambition matched only by her warmth. Or so I thought. We'd been married 8 years, our life, a cozy rhythm of shared dreams. Our loft apartment overlooked the city, filled with her plants and my vinyl records. We'd cook dinner together, her humming jazz, me stealing kisses between stirs. We talked about kids, a cabin in the Rockies, a future we'd build brick by brick. I thought we were unbreakable, but even the strongest foundations crack under pressure, and Emma's cracks started showing 4 months ago. It began with her phone, late-night texts. She'd silence her fingers quick to dim the screen. "Just clients," she'd say, her voice too casual. She started working longer hours, her PR campaigns demanding emergency meetings that stretched past midnight. I'd wait up the TV, flickering her dinner cold on the counter. "Everything okay?" I'd ask when she slipped in her hair. "Slightly mussed." "Just swamped," she'd reply, avoiding my eyes. Her perfume shifted, something musky. Not the floral I'd bought her. Doubt gnawed at me, but love makes you blind. I told myself I was paranoid, that Reddit cheating stories were just that, stories. I was wrong. The first fracture came at Douglas's annual gala, a glittering affair at his mountain estate. I stood by Emma, my tie itching, as Douglas introduced me to his elite circle. "Evan runs a coffee cart," he said, chuckling, his hand heavy on my shoulder. The crowd smirked, and Emma's grip on my arm tightened, but she stayed silent. Later, I saw her with Kyle Simmons, Douglas's right-hand attorney and my old grad school friend. Kyle, all polished charm and sharp suits, leaned too close, his hand grazing her back. Her laugh was too bright, her eyes too soft. I brushed it off as networking, but my chest tightened, a warning I couldn't ignore. The real blow landed a week later. I was closing Hearth and Grind, the scent of roasted beans lingering, when Emma texted she'd be late again, client dinner. I drove home restless and noticed her desk drawer locked, a new habit. Curiosity isn't betrayal, but it felt like it when I jimmied it open with a paperclip. Inside, a bank statement for an account I didn't know, $60,000 in deposits labeled project fees. Clipped to it, a post-it in Kyle's scrawl. "Our spot, 8 p.m., can't wait." My heart stopped, the paper trembling in my hand. This wasn't just a cheating wife story, it was a knife to my soul. I didn't storm out or call her. Rage doesn't win battles. Strategy does. Aspen Capital gave me tools most husbands don't have. I traced the account to a shell company linked to Douglas's firm with Kyle as the signatory. Emma wasn't just cheating with my friend. She was entangled in her father's financial web. I sat in our loft, the city lights blurring through the window, rain streaking the glass like tears. How do you trust the woman who's been lying to your face? I hired a private investigator, Nora, a no-nonsense pro who'd vetted deals for me, track Emma and Kyle. I said, every move, every meeting. Nora nodded, her eyes sharp. "You sure you want this?" I wasn't. But I nodded back. At home, I played the doting husband. Emma breezed in her smile. "A mask, rough day?" I asked, pouring her coffee. She sighed, non-stop. Her eyes darted to her phone, buzzing with a text she didn't open. I watched her, the woman I'd loved for a decade, and felt like a stranger. Nora's first report came 3 days later. Photos of Emma and Kyle at a downtown condo, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. The condo was leased by Douglas's company, not Kyle. Why was my father-in-law funding their affair? I dug into the shell company's records, finding transfers disguised as consulting fees, $200,000 over a year funneled through Emma to obscure Douglas's tax evasion. My wife wasn't just a cheater. She was her father's accomplice, and I'd been the fool bankrolling their life. The betrayal stung, but I didn't crumble. I'd seen enough cheating stories on Reddit to know anger clouds judgment. I met my lawyer Sarah Bennett, who'd handled my app sale, lock down my assets, I told her, and pull every file on Douglas's firm. Sarah's pen flew across her notepad. This could get ugly. Evan, I nodded. Ugly was fine, I wanted justice. The first twist hit at Douglas's next event, a charity auction dripping with excess. He pulled me aside, his breath sour with gin. Evan, my company needs a loan. Big project, tight deadline. Your bank contacts can help, right? His audacity was almost comical. He didn't know Aspen Capital was mine, that I held his empire's lifeline. I'll look into it. I said, my smile cold inside. I was fire. This wasn't just a cheating wife story. It was my chance to rewrite the rules. That night, I caught Emma and Kyle in a corner. Their whispers too close, her hand on his chest. Nora's latest update burned in my pocket, footage of Emma stashing documents in the condo's safe. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage. I was fighting for my dignity, my legacy. I slipped out the auction's laughter fading behind me and vowed they'd regret underestimating Evan Brooks. The auction's lights faded as I drove home, the Denver skyline a blur through the rain-slicked windshield. Emma's laugh with Kyle echoed in my head, her hand on his chest, a snapshot of betrayal. The post-it note. Our spot, 8 p.m. Can't wait. Burned in my pocket next to Nora's report of Emma hiding documents in their condo safe. This wasn't just a cheating wife story. It was a conspiracy, and I was done being the pawn. My fingers gripped the steering wheel, my plan taking shape. Douglas thought he could mock me. Emma thought she could lie to me. And Kyle thought he could steal my life. They were about to learn who Evan Brooks really was. Morning broke gray and heavy. Emma was already gone when I woke her side of the bed, cold, a note on the counter, early meeting back late. Her handwriting was neat, practiced like her lies. I brewed coffee, the aroma sharp against the ache in my chest, and called Nora. I need more on the condo, I said. Who's been there? What's in the safe? Nora's voice was steady. I'm on it. But Evan, this is bigger than an affair. Douglas's firm is bleeding money, shady deals, offshore accounts. Emma's neck deep. My jaw tightened. Keep digging. I hung up the coffee, bitter on my tongue. Emma wasn't just cheating. She was shielding her father's crimes, and Kyle was her accomplice. I spent the day at Hearth and Grind, pulling espresso shots, smiling for customers, my mind elsewhere. Aspen Capital's database was my weapon, and I used it. The shell company tied to Emma's secret account had funneled $300,000 in project fees over 18 months, all linked to Douglas's real estate ventures. The transfers were sloppy, disguised as consulting but reeking of tax evasion. I cross-referenced the condo lease. Douglas's firm paid the rent, but Kyle signed the papers. My old friend wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was laundering money for her father, and Emma was the linchpin. The first twist came that afternoon. Sarah, my lawyer, called. I've got something, she said. Her voice low. Douglas's firm applied for a $5 million loan through Aspen Capital. He doesn't know it's yours. I leaned back, the hum of the coffee shop fading. Douglas, the man who'd called me a barista to my face, was begging for my money. The irony was delicious, but I wasn't ready to play my hand. Stall them, I told Sarah, demand more financials, let him sweat. She chuckled. You're cold, Evan, cold. No, I was calculated. Nora's next report landed that evening. A bombshell security footage from the condo showed Emma meeting a man who wasn't Kyle. A stranger in a tailored coat. His face obscured. He handed her a flash drive. His gestures, sharp, urgent. Nora traced him to a consulting firm with ties to Douglas's offshore accounts. This guy's bad news, she texted. Suspected of cleaning dirty money for real estate tycoons. My stomach churned. Emma wasn't just cheating with Kyle. She was entangled with criminals, and Douglas had dragged her in. Or had she chosen it? I couldn't confront her yet. I needed airtight proof. Not just photos and hunches. So I kept playing the part. Emma came home late, her eyes tired, her smile forced. "Long day?" I asked, setting a plate of pasta in front of her. She nodded, picking at the food. "Just a big campaign." Her phone buzzed and she flipped it over too fast. I watched her, my heart a tangle of love and rage. How had we gotten here? I'd built a life for us, poured my soul into our dreams, and she'd traded it for secrets and a condo key. The second twist hit 2 days later. I was at Aspen Capital's office, a discreet suite I rarely visited, when Nora called, "Check your email." Now I opened her message, a video attachment. Grainy footage from a parking garage showed Emma and Kyle arguing, her voice sharp. His hands raised. "You promised this wouldn't touch Evan," she snapped. Kyle's reply was low but clear. "You're in too deep. Emma. Douglas owns us." She shoved him, tears streaming, and stormed off. The timestamp was last night, hours after she'd kissed me goodnight. My chest tightened, not from pain but clarity. Emma wasn't a mastermind. She was trapped, and Kyle was her leash. I rewatched the video, my mind racing. Emma's tears were real, but so were her lies. She'd chosen Kyle, chosen her father's empire over me, but owns us. That was new. I called Nora. Focus on Douglas's offshore accounts. Find out who's pulling his strings. She didn't hesitate. This could get dangerous. "Evan. You sure?" I was. Danger was better than ignorance. The next week was a tightrope. I moved money from our joint accounts to a secure one. Emma couldn't touch my lawyer's advice. Sarah dug into Douglas's firm, uncovering a trail of falsified records, overvalued properties, ghost investors, millions siphoned to the Caymans. Emma's project fees were the tip of the iceberg. I felt sick, not just for me, but for the life we'd lost. I'd read Reddit cheating stories, but living one was a different beast. Every night Emma slept beside me, her breathing soft while I lay awake plotting. The third curveball came at a family dinner at the Callahan's mansion. Douglas, oblivious to my knowledge, toasted to new ventures, his eyes glinting with greed. Emma sat across from me, her smile brittle, Kyle at her side like a loyal dog, Lorraine. Her mother chatted about charity galas, but her glances at Emma were tense, knowing I played along, laughing, refilling glasses. But my eyes were on Emma's phone, buzzing under the table. She excused herself, and I followed, silent, as a shadow. In the hallway she typed furiously, her face pale. I glimpsed the screen before she locked it, a message to Kyle. "He's asking questions. We need to move the files." My blood ran cold. They weren't just hiding an affair, they were covering tracks, and I was the threat. I slipped back to the table, my face a mask. But inside, I was fire. Douglas's loan request was my leverage, and I'd use it to unravel them all. Nora's next update was a goldmine. The man in the tailored coat was Victor Crane, a fixer for dirty money linked to a syndicate that propped up Douglas's failing projects. The flash drive he'd given Emma encrypted files detailing Douglas's fraud dates, amounts, fake contracts. Emma wasn't just laundering money. She was holding evidence that could destroy her father, or protect him. The question was, whose side was she on? I confronted Kyle first. Not Emma. I invited him to hearth and grind after hours. The shop dark, except for a single lamp. He walked in all swagger, but his eyes flickered when he saw my face. "What's this about Evan?" he asked. Loosening his tie, I slid the bank statement across the counter, the post-it note on top, "Care to explain." His face drained of color, his mouth opening, closing. "It's not what you think," he stammered. "Bullshit," I said, my voice low. "You and Emma. The condo. The money, I know everything." He backed up, his hands raised. "Evan, listen, she didn't want to hurt you. Douglas forced her." I laughed, cold and sharp. "Forced her to sleep with you. Save it, Kyle." He crumbled, spilling half-truths. Douglas's firm was collapsing, and Emma's PR skills hid the cracks. Fake press releases, doctored financials. Kyle swore the affair was a mistake, that Emma loved me. I didn't buy it. "You're done," I told him. "Walk away, or I take this to the feds." He left his shoulders, slumped, the door's bell jangling like a warning. Emma was next. She came home late, her coat damp from the rain. I waited in the living room, the bank statement on the coffee table. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady. Her eyes widened, darting to the paper. "Evan, I can explain," she started. "Don't." I cut her off. "I know about Kyle, the condo, the money, your father's fraud." Her face crumpled, tears welling. "I didn't have a choice," she whispered. "Dad's company was sinking. He said it was temporary." I stood towering over her. "Temporary. You betrayed me, Emma. For him, for Kyle." She sobbed, reaching for me, but I stepped back. "You broke us." She fell to her knees, her voice raw. "I love you, Evan. I never meant." I didn't let her finish. "You don't love someone you lie to every day." I walked out the rain, swallowing her cries. The city pulsed beyond our window, indifferent. I wasn't done, though. Douglas's loan was still on my desk, and Aspen Capital was my ace. This cheating wife story was about to become a reckoning. The rain hadn't stopped a relentless curtain over Denver as I left Emma sobbing in our loft. Her words, "I love you, Evan," rang hollow, drowned by the evidence of her betrayal. The bank statement, Kyle's note, the condo footage. This wasn't just a cheating wife story. It was a house of cards. Emma, Kyle Douglas, and Victor Crane all propping up Douglas's crumbling empire. I drove through the storm, the city lights smearing like my trust, my mind sharp with purpose. Emma thought she could beg for forgiveness. Kyle thought he could slink away, and Douglas thought he could bully me into saving him. They were wrong. I was Evan Brooks, not the barista they mocked, and I held the match to burn their lies to ash. I didn't go home. I checked into a hotel downtown, the kind of place where no one asks questions. My phone buzzed. Emma's texts, a string of apologies. I didn't read. I silenced it and called Nora. "What's the latest on Crane?" I asked, my voice steady, despite the fire in my chest. Nora didn't sugarcoat. "He's moving fast. Met with Douglas last night, handed over another drive. My source says it's blackmail. Crane's got dirt on Douglas's offshore deals, enough to bury him." I paced the room, the carpet muffling my steps, and Emma. Nora paused. She's still in the condo alone. Looked scared. Scared wasn't enough. I needed her exposed. Sarah, my lawyer, was next. "The loan application's on hold." She said Douglas is desperate, calling my office daily. "I've got his financials, it's a mess. Evan, over-leveraged properties, fake valuations." I leaned against the window, the city sprawling below. "Send an anonymous tip to the IRS. I said everything we have on is fraud, and make sure Crane's name is in there." Sarah's silence was heavy. "This could ruin them all. You know." Emma included. I swallowed, my throat tight. "I know." I hung up, the rain's rhythm matching my pulse. Justice wasn't clean, but it was necessary. The first twist came the next morning. Nora sent a new video, time-stamped 3 a.m. Emma in the condo, burning documents in a trash can, her face lit by the flickering flames. She wasn't covering for Douglas. She was destroying evidence, maybe for herself. I rewatched it. Her movements frantic, her eyes darting to the door. Was she running from Crane? From me, I didn't care. She'd chosen this path, and I wasn't her savior anymore. I met Nora at a diner, its neon sign buzzing like my nerves. She slid a USB drive across the table. "Crane's files," she said. "Hacked from his laptop. Dates, transfers, even emails to Douglas. Emma's name's all over it. Her signatures on fake contracts." I pocketed the drive, my jaw tight. "Anything else?" Nora leaned forward, her voice low. "Crane's planning to disappear. Rumor is he's setting Emma up to take the fall." My blood ran cold. Emma, the woman I'd loved, was a pawn in a bigger game, but her hands weren't clean. I thanked Nora and left the USB drive heavy as a gun. The second twist hit that afternoon. Kyle showed up at Hearth and Grind. His suit wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. The shop was empty, the lunch rush gone. He stood at the counter, his hands shaking. "Evan, I'm begging you, don't go to the feds." I wiped the espresso machine. My face blank. "Why not? You and Emma ruined me." He flinched, his voice cracking. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I love her, man. Douglas pushed us together, said it'd keep her loyal to the firm." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "You love her, you used her, Kyle and me." He sank onto a stool, his head in his hands. "Crane's got us trapped. He threatened to expose Emma if we didn't play along." I didn't buy his victim act, but his fear was real. "What's on the drive Crane gave her?" I asked, my voice low. Kyle's eyes widened. "You know about that?" I didn't blink, talk. He swallowed, his voice barely a whisper. Proof of Douglas's fraud, decades of it. Crane's using it to control him. Emma was supposed to deliver it to a contact, but she's stalling. She's terrified of Crane. I leaned closer. My voice. Ice, get out. And tell Emma. Her time's up. He left the bell jangling, his shadow swallowed by the rain. I didn't sleep that night. The USB drive sat on the hotel desk, its contents a map of betrayal. I opened my laptop, decrypting the files with a tool from my fintech days. Emails, ledgers, contracts. Douglas's empire was a house of fraud built on Emma's signatures and Kyle's compliance. One email stopped me cold. Crane to Douglas, dated last week. If Emma talks, she's done. Clean it up, or I will. My stomach twisted. Emma wasn't just complicit, she was a target. But pity didn't erase her lies, her nights with Kyle, her choice to bury me. The confrontation came unplanned. I tracked Emma to the condo using Nora's GPS ping on her car. The building was sleek, its windows dark, except for one. I knocked, my heart pounding, the USB drive in my pocket. Emma opened the door, her face pale, her hair loose. Evan, she gasped, stepping back. I walked in the air, thick with her perfume, musky, not mine. We're done pretending, I said, tossing the bank statement on the table. You Kyle Douglas Crane, I know everything. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't soften. Why Emma? Why him? Why this? She sank onto the couch, her hands trembling. I didn't want this, she said, her voice raw. Dad's company was failing. Crane offered a way out, money deals. Kyle was a mistake. I thought I could fix it, keep you out of it. I laughed, cold and sharp. Fix it. You slept with my friend. You stole from us. You signed fraud papers. She flinched, sobbing. I was protecting you. Evan. Crane would have come for you too. I stepped closer, my voice low. You protected yourself, and you lost me. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I have the drive, I said. Every dirty deal, every lie, you're done, Emma. So's your father. Her face crumpled, her voice a whisper. Please, Evan, I'll lose everything. I looked at her. The woman I'd loved, now a stranger, you already did. I walked out the door, clicking shut. The rain a roar in my ears. I didn't look back. The final act was quiet, surgical. I sent the USB drive's contents to Sarah, who packaged it for the IRS and SEC, anonymous, untraceable. Within days, headlines screamed, real estate mogul, Douglas Callahan, probed for fraud. His firm collapsed, assets, frozen, investors fleeing Crane, vanished, his syndicate cutting ties to dodge the feds. Kyle was fired, his law license under review. His reputation, Ash, Emma's PR firm, tanked, her name tied to the scandal, her clients bailing. I didn't stop there. Aspen Capital acquired Douglas's foreclosed properties at auction, pennies on the dollar. I turned them into community centers, affordable housing, a park for kids. Everything Douglas despised. Hearth and Grind became a symbol, my story leaking to the press. Barista turned millionaire topples tycoon. The world saw me not as Douglas's punchline, but as a man who'd won. Emma reached out months later, a letter slipped under the coffee shop door. No return address, just her handwriting. I never deserved you, Evan. I'm sorry. I'm starting over, trying to be better. A photo was tucked inside us years ago, laughing at a festival, her eyes bright with love we'd lost. I read the letter once, then burned it, the ashes scattering in the wind. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give, not yet. I stood outside Hearth and Grind, the sunset painting the sky gold. My life was new home, new projects, new purpose. I'd been the fool, the husband betrayed, but I'd rebuilt stronger. Emma, Kyle, Douglas, they'd paid their price, but had I? The question lingered sharp as the evening air. Did I go too far or not far enough? What would you have done in my place? Share your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that tear at your soul and spark debate. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next.